Okay, here's a good example of a S class versus a C class. These are both guide select pros, and you can see over here, you got the little clasp on the bottom here. This is for a C class casting rod, um, and the guides are pointed up, whereas the spinning class, the guides are pointed down. See that? The guides are pointed down, and when you mount the reel over here, you mount it on the top, whereas this one, you mount it on the bottom.
Hey everybody, Scuba here. I would like to introduce how to tell the difference between a spinning rod and a casting rod. And I'm sure that most of you tend to use casting rods for freshwater and spinning rods for the ocean. But let me explain some differences here so it'll help you better understand your equipment. Now, this here is a C-class rod, which is a um, casting rod or a big casting rod. You're going to have the little index finger hold on the bottom here. Your thumb goes on the top here for your big caster. Now you're going to have the spinning rod. Both of these are Guide Select Pros by Akuma. So the reel slides in here, so it'll be on the bottom part. And when you throw this out, the guides will be at the bottom, also with the reel, as compared to this one here, where it's going to be at the top on the casting model. And when you slide the second piece into your pair connection, it will reflect that. So just by glancing them quickly, you can tell the difference, right? So you got a C model, which is casting. You got an S model, which is spinning. Now the spinning rods, which is the front one here. This is the spinning rod because the guide's got to be down, right? So the spinning rods here, you secure the spinning reel on the bottom, so you hold it like that, as compared to the one that goes on the top, and you flip it over. So to me, this is the main difference when you look at it. I mean, it's just by looking at it, but it goes more into that. So why is this? So the rod planks are constructed by the manufacturers to represent this. And what it's based on the spline or the spine, which means is that um, these rods have a tendency to bend one way more than the other, and they're going to reflect that in the way that the pieces will bend in. Now you can get multiple pieces. This is a two-piece, so you have the spine here in the center to connect the pieces. But a lot of times with the shorter lengths, you're going to have one piece. The longer lengths, you will have two or possibly three. Now this casting rod here, you get your index finger grip here. Your thumbs the reel on the top here. Now, what happens if you were to go against this, right? If you were to flip this over like that, now what would happen is that the strain will go against the grain of the rod. Meaning, I'll explain it later how the rod was constructed, and it would actually crack the rod. You have to go with the strength of the rod, and that's determined at the factory, and I'll explain that to you. Now, determining the strength of the rod will greatly improve the rod's castability, strength, accuracy on the toss, performance, longevity, and fighting power. So listen carefully to what I have explained to you, because you don't want to get the two mixed up. But if in case you forget, like I said, you look at the way that it's constructed, and it would either say on the ratings over here, it'll be either S for spinning or C for casting. Now, after the determination at the factory, if this is going to be a S or a C class rod, you, and that's determined, like I said, by the flexibility of the rod material itself, basically how it bends. All right. So after this determination, the size of the guides are added. So you're going to start off with the larger guides here, and it'll be coming down to a smaller guide opening to the tip. So there is a science involved on how far the spacing should be, depending on the length of the rod versus what it's rated for. And the factory determines that it's already been computer diagnosed. And what you want to do is you never get the two pieces mixed up between a S class or a C class rod. Now, after all the tapered, and tapered means that it's going to go from large to small. Now, after all the placements of the tapered rod guides here, to me, the most important is the last one, the tip, because this one here, if this isn't secured correctly, if it's not glued in right, if the material at the end is more hollow than it is solid, this will crack right here. And this is the point where a lot of the sensitivity is imparted on the fight of the fish, as well as the strength of the rod itself. So to me, this is the most important part. And you always check your line. I mean, if you see a little black ring going up and down the line here, that means one of your guide inserts here broke off, and you got to take it in to have it replaced. I mean, you can have it re-glued, you can do it yourself, but it's not the same. It's not strong anymore. It's best to get the whole guide frame itself replaced. Now, when I was in Washington State years ago, I did take a tour of a factory to show how a rod was made, and it was really a complex process, but a well-oiled machine. They showed how the flat pieces of material, the carbon is laid out, how it's rolled, how it's put into ovens and baked, how it's glued out, how it's determined by bending it. If it's going to be a S class or C class, it was a great tour. Now, to me, my favorites, not to you, but to me, my favorites are the spinning rods. I use spinning rods more than I use casting rods. Now, if I was to go surf casting and I need the power and strength, I will go with a C class surf rod, and I'll be using conventional reels. If I'm going spinning, which most of the time I am, which is for bait or going inshore with jigs, small lures, I would tend to use the S class S for spinning, such as this one. Now, I don't know if you can see that it'll say GSP, which is the Guide Select Pro Dash S. Dash S means spinning model, the Dash C means casting model. So let me explain to you the anatomy of what you have between the two rods here. So this here is a spinning rod. Now, they're going to be only slightly different, the spinning and the casting models. So you're going to have the end cap, which is basically the ending over here. The either is going to be a butt cap or just an end piece like this. In the East Coast, this is important because a lot of the guys out there go for stripers and they walk backwards through the surf and they use the rod butt as a walking stick walking backwards. So they kind of have a boot over this, and I learned like it's kind of like a light bulb type of shaped boot, and we walk backwards. So the waves will hit our backside when we're walking out, so we can get far enough to catch the lines out for the stripers. All right. So this here is designated as an end cap. You're going to get that. Everything I'm explaining will be both types of reels. And you're going to have the grip. Now, the grip here is two grip areas. You got one massive area here, which is carbon weave, and you got a smaller one up in front. All right. Now, the reel seat on this one here, this is for spinners. So this reel seat was meant so when you put the spinner, the foot of the spinner here, the rod will hang down. Now, the reel seat on a casting model is the opposite because your index finger go here. So what happens is that the reel seat will be on the top part and the reel will sit here and you thumb the line. So that's a big difference between the S and the C models. Now, just based on that, you should be able to tell this if it's a C or S. But you also look at the blank itself. It's going to show if it's right here on the lettering. It's going to show either if it's a S or a C model. So make sure you look at that. Another important feature is the spigot ferrule connection. Spigot ferrule is the designation for the type of system to interlock the two pieces. So the spigot ferrule means here that these two pieces, this will go into this one. Now you're gonna. This here is a two-piecer. The one pieces to me are the strongest because it's no flex points. The two-piecer like this is the next popular, and then sometimes you're gonna have the three. But be aware that the three-piece ones tend to be a little bit weaker because of the number of uh, cut points sections in the rod. But because of the total length, it should more than take care of the extra strain. And lastly, for any C model or S model rod, it's going to have designation 7 plus 1, 9 plus 1. Now, this spinning model here is a 9 plus 1. So, how is that a 9 plus 1? You start, and that numbering system is the guides. The first guide here, which would be more towards the base, is going to be the largest, going down to the next largest. Then on the next piece here, see, is from here to here to here. This helps take up the strain up the line to go through evenly through the rod when it's bending. So this here is a 9 plus 1, which means is that you're going to have 9 guides, and the plus 1 is the tip. Also, you need to know what your rod is rated for in terms of the fish you're targeting. It'll be reflected in the pound test of the line. So you look at your numbering system. This one over here has an H in there. So the H means it's heavy, so it's thicker blanket. H is for heavy application, so it's going to be rated for a lot more weight than your average rod. This one here is a heavy. So let's go look at this. It says that half to 3 ounce. So you can use half to 3 ounce weight on this one here because it's only this is a C class rod because it's only 2 pieces. This is good for just about anything that's out there, from jigging to casting, surf casting baits out from shore. Now my spinning rod here is a bit longer. The other one was 9. This one's 9'9". It's rated for 3/8 to 1 ounce. Um, so I can basically, if it's rated up to 1 ounce, I can go. To me myself, I max out with the 3/4 ounce Castmaster or any type of lure. And because of that, this is meant for spin casting with a spinner from the shore. And I can get some great distance using this one with the medium. Now, if you go medium heavy, a lot of medium heavies generally go up to maybe 1.5, sometimes 1 3/4. And so you just have to adjust your lengths, adjust your weight of the lures to target the type of fish and habitats that the fish live in. Lastly, you got materials used. I think rods like this one here, these are carbon fiber. And what's nice about carbon fiber, really light, really resilient, really, really strong. So I prefer these. Now, if you're going to, the old time way is if you're going to be going surf casting from shore, you'd be using fiberglass. Fiberglass is still used today, but a lot of composites kind of took that over. Fiberglass tends to be a lot heavier, but it's still a good rod. I mean, if you're going to go out there and you're going to be going for some large critters along the shoreline, fiberglass is still the way to go. So everything I told you will reflect not only in the rod quality, but on the MSRP. That's kind of bottom line, right? It's the price. I mean, no matter how well it's built or what type of materials is used in this construction, you still got to buy it, right? You got to pay for it. So just kind of bear in mind that some lines are better than others. You look at how many guides are put on, you look at the materials that are used, you go by the feel by when you read online, oh, my rod broke when I used this, or oh, I caught this great fish that is rated 2 times more than what the rod's rating for. Those are the things you kind of have to pick up on. Now, for myself, uh, I I go fishing for big fish and bait and just about everything. I like to go jigging from shores, so I kind of tend to play with the medium to medium heavy rods, ranging from 9.5 to 10 feet. Now, if you're gonna go surf casting, you can start off with the 8 foot medium heavy, and you work your way up to possibly a 13 foot heavy or extra heavy. So it depends on what you're targeting and what you're looking for. Final advice. I mean, you can buy used gear. Used gear is good. Should always be cheaper than brand new. But I'm going to tell you something. If you buy used gear, chances are the warranty won't be good for you because it's registered to the original owner's name. So if something happens, you're kind of out of luck. So bearing that in mind, I mean, you may only have a certain amount of money you want to put into it. Go ahead, pick up some used gear if you think it looks good, but bear in mind that that might end up biting you in the butt later on. It may not. It depends on uh, if the person selling to you is honest, that there's no cracks in it. So, when you're with him, ask him to put a little bend in the rod, look at it yourself. Just be smart about it. And if it wasn't registered, register it in your name. I mean, I bought used gear before where the person was too lazy to register it, so I registered under my name. Why not, right? So this is my report. It's just a quick how-to, and hopefully it'll help you out in purchasing some new gear for your future endeavors. Thank you.